Welcome to our signature segment, See the Stories. We're in deep in the final hour of this 3-hour news show. Now it's time for letting loose and learn new information. Before we continue with our discussion, I want to ask Rory, do you have any concerns when eating a certain meal?
I actually don't have, but I reduce the amount of sugar in my food and also fried food. I don't eat that. I eat sometimes gorengan or fried food, but it's just once in a while.
So it's not a staple part
It's not
of
a
your
staple
diet,
part
right?
of my diet, yeah. What about you? Do you have any concern or limitation towards food?
Sugar, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I like added sugars.
You like added sugar?
No, I don't like.
You don't like added
but,
sugar, okay.
I avoid added sugars. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough when it comes to gorengan,
Yeah.
fried food, but because it's very Indonesian. But I think there's also a healthy way of frying your food now.
Yeah. I use, what do you call it? Like the heater.
Air fryer.
Air fryer,
Yeah,
that's the word.
that's the word.
Air fryer in my house.
Yes, me too.
You too?
Now, as we heard Rory's explanation regarding his concerns when choosing the right meal and diet for himself, we're also commemorating World Food Day today, which is celebrated every October the 16th. Let's take a look at the following explanation. What is World Food Day? World Food Day is celebrated on October 16th every year, which encourages action for the future of food, people, and the environment, and also bringing hunger awareness. In 1979, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, declared October 16th to be World Food Day.
World Food Day aims to bring attention and to take action against global hunger and malnutrition. This day serves as a reminder of the necessity to ensure food security and everyone's access to wholesome food. It's really great that we celebrate World Food Day today, but I just realized that this is the day from President Jokowi's post this morning. Because he posted on Instagram account on a cartoon of World Food Day. I just realized, okay, this is the day.
And it's World Food Day is much more than just what diet that we use in every single day, but it's literally about how we can, distribute food sustainably to all the people in the world who are in need, especially those who are in need.
Exactly, that's really important. And in commemorating World Food Day, joining us in the studio is the co-founder of Philosophy Community Kitchen, Lil'li Latisha, who will share her stories about providing free plant-based food for underprivileged people. Hello, Latisha.
Hello, how are you?
It's really great to have you here in our studio. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, can you tell us the story behind Philosophy Community Kitchen? So, this is a plant-based food organization for the underprivileged people, right?
Yes, so basically Philosophy Community Kitchen is a social enterprise where we provide education about what is plant-based food and how plant-based food correlates to fighting climate change, as well as making vegetarian or vegan or plant-based food more accessible to people around Indonesia.
Is it really hard to educate people because you are accustomed to eat meat or chicken or eggs, right? Is it really hard at the first place to educate people?
So the great thing is, Philosophy Community Kitchen is owned by 3 people. So me, Andre, and Anita. So Andre and Anita, they are actually vegetarian, and I'm flexitarian. So I can so totally relate with what people might think first about plant-based lifestyle and vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. In a sense, it is hard, but it's not as hard as it should have been if I wasn't flexitarian.
So the interesting part is, why did you choose plant-based food? I understand that meats are pricey.
Yeah.
So if we want to talk about, getting the nutritions in, and we know that there is a possibility to fulfill all these nutritional needs with plant-based foods and also a lower economical value than having, the meats in the diet. So why did you choose plant-based food, especially to give to the impoverished community?
Okay, so plant-based food, again, our social enterprise is really related to fighting climate change. And when we switch our diet, even once a week, we're actually reducing our carbon footprint by 30 to 70%. And that is why we chose plant-based food. And it's because we also saw this gap between fighting climate change and people who are in impoverished communities. Because usually people who are in impoverished communities, they are quite detached with this problem because they're thinking about,
their survival first.
Yeah, exactly. Poverty, which is also a global scale problem. That's why we see this connection that we can make together. And also plant-based food, we are actually, without consciously doing it, we are following the plant-based lifestyle, like tempeh and tofu. That's a daily ingredient that we eat as Indonesians. It's just that just because we didn't put a title, oh, we're eating plant-based food today, doesn't mean we're not doing it or we're not contributing to fighting climate change. And that's the thing, and I think what you said about meat prices, actually a lot of people have this stigma, which is the opposite, that plant-based lifestyle is expensive and vegan and vegetarian lifestyle is just so beyond what they can afford because they're thinking about any food on the table, when in reality, you're already living it.
Right. So talking about stigma though, in Indonesia especially, right? There's a stigma that rich people will eat meat, chicken and fish, while those who are impoverished would take, like vegetables or soy or other kinds of food, right? So how do you tackle this kind of stigma, and how does the philosophy or organization work in distributing plant-based food?
Okay, so in terms of the stigma, yes, that is a very, very common stigma in Indonesia. And actually people who are in impoverished communities, anytime they have extra cash, they will spend it on meat, usually, because it's a privilege, I guess you can say.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And so how we tackle that is by actually saying that just because you have extra cash doesn't mean you should put it into something that is not going to benefit you at the end of the day. So we're teaching them a little bit also about financial literacy and how that can also relate to everything that we're doing. So every action actually impacts the environment. And that is something that they should also learn about. And how we learn about that, how we teach about that is through actually events. So we usually create events with brands together in Borobudur, and there's also one in Jakarta. And so we basically invite all these communities through different perspectives. There's one that is a professional in climate activism, and then there's another one talking about vegan and vegetarian lifestyles and nutrition. So we gave a lot of education with different perspectives.
Right. But, how do you collect all the food? Is it like voluntarily collecting the food, or you pick up from, let's say, the leftover from restaurants or five-star hotels?
So basically, we actually work together with organizations that are actually right now religion-based, because usually they are mostly active in the vegan and vegetarian communities. So they usually create these bazaars, like charity bazaars, where they donate the money to, for example, a charity that they believe in, or if they have any leftover foods, they will give to orphanages, people who are working or living in the streets. So that's how we're doing it right now. But we also support brands who do food banks. So the way we distribute food is kind of a complex system. It's not as simple as we cook it and we give it away, because that is something that we realize is, even though it's quite simple, its impact is quite small scale, because we're working community to community. But what we're doing is we're doing the hands-on work, but we're also supporting people to do this work, and we're also helping brands to be more aware about this situation as well.
It's very interesting, because you are trying to educate an entire population, saying that, look, if you cannot afford meat, you don't have to force it, because because your nutritional needs are already met by these certain plant foods. Exactly. Now, you have a community kitchen, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
So through these initiatives that you have mentioned before, you do these street events, so that you only meet the communities during these certain events, so you give them the education necessary and also the food to them. Could you explain to us a little bit?
So like I said before, it's kind of a complex system, but the main part is that we're creating events where we're not only inviting people who are in the plant-based community, but we're also inviting people who are outside of the community, because that's what we're doing. We're not here to only support those who are vegan or vegetarian, but we're also not there to convert people as well.
Yeah.
We are an organization that educates people.
So how are you impacting to the more impoverished and in your impoverished communities? Because you just mentioned, so it's not through direct hands, right?
So it's complex. So there is one that is direct, which we did in Borobudur, and there's another one that it's more kind of open for everyone, which is what we did in Jakarta as well. So, and then there's another one where we're going for consulting brands. So to answer the question about the direct, we do it with working together with UKM, a small business, and we create events where they can share their products and opportunities for them, and at the same time educate people about it. So we're also giving an opportunity for people to incorporate plant-based in their small businesses as well.
So based on what you said earlier, that plant-based food is deemed expensive, right? It's on, shopping malls or fancy restaurants. But how do you educate that we can eat plant-based food easily, simple? Like especially for those who just, start earlier.
Yeah, I think how we educate it is by introducing the plant-based food that are very familiar to them.
Tempeh, tahu.
Yeah, exactly. And then also for more complex ones, like we create nasi kendil or like nasi campur that is vegetarian, or bakmi gerobak that is vegetarian as well. So people will be surprised that it's actually plant-based, and people won't be scared. And we also do it in a way that it's affordable in our events.
Okay, so some of my vegetarian friends, they try to create satay or meat or chicken processed food into plant-based food using mushroom or tempeh, but with the same aroma. Do you create that kind of food as well?
Yeah, we use alternative meats and also alternative milk in our food, in our drinks, and we also work together with a lot of brands for that. So we try to make a lot of these ingredients very accessible to people. That's why we work together with a supermarket to create this vegan or vegetarian option available.
So you're basically trying to re-educate people that plant-based food isn't complicated.
Exactly.
I like that. So I want to know, like, when you go around having these events and you're educating first-timers who really hear about, it turns out that plant-based food doesn't have to be expensive, because actually everything that is already accessible to me means I can, save the environment and cut carbon footprints. How are usually the reactions? What kind of response have you been getting?
Right, so the reactions are definitely different for everyone. There are some people who immediately get it, and those are usually in the community. And those are some people who, are not convinced. They're not super opposed to it, but they're also not convinced. And that's where I feel like this diversity in the community is really important, and the way we educate, the approach to educate people is also very important, because when we immediately tell them, you need to convert as vegan or vegetarian, even I, as somebody who owns this initiative, will get scared.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard for you to just immediately change your lifestyle in 5 minutes just because I lecture you, for example. So that is why what we do is we take it step by step. We encourage people to do Meatless Monday, for example, then 3 times a week, 5 times a week. If you're willing to commit, then you be vegan or vegetarian. It all depends on you. And again, representation is also really important. That's why I'm a flexitarian and 2 of my friends are vegetarian. And we're super proud of that, the fact that,
it's persuade, not force, right?
Exactly.
I tried to be a pescatarian, so I only ate fish and seafood back then, but I only survived for 6 months. Other than that, I was so dizzy, I was so, feel unwell with my body. Then I consulted with my doctor, and he said that, Rory, you should not be a vegetarian or pescatarian, you should eat meat and also chicken. That's the gene and also the metabolism of my body.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because we actually work together with this non-profit organization called 21 Hari Vegan, and they're actually a group of nutritionists who will consult with people about whether they should be vegan or what are the plant-based diets that they can follow without interfering with their health.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we work together with a lot of communities as well who are conscious about this. And we also support other communities to create events to educate people. So we're trying to amplify this message where plant-based lifestyle can be done by anyone, actually. That's why we support also a bazaar that's coming up next called Vegetarian Paradise. So that's basically what we always do. We try to make sure we address every single concern that comes in our way, and we don't do it in a way that's forceful.
All right.
So what is your target audience or market in terms of age? Because it's very interesting, because a lot of the more older generations are now wanting to look at veganism also because for health concerns and things like that, right? So there must be a big range of target audience, but specifically, who are what is your audience like when they come into your events?
Right. So at this moment, our target audience is definitely people who are outside the vegetarian and vegan community, and that is still very much diverse. I think before social media, people would often think that vegan or being vegetarian is such a niche market, but then because of social media, we are more aware of, how plant-based food correlates to fighting climate change. And so we can't really underestimate within age. So because a lot of Gen Zs are also really interested about the plant-based lifestyle. But mostly that's what, again, our target audience is mostly people outside of the vegan or vegetarian community, but also how they respond to that is actually really interesting because we do all these events that are not so forceful. We do all these events and the response has been actually really great. Like a lot of people at the end of the day would like to try a few times a week. They would like to work together with our community partners, like the one that I mentioned before, 21 Hari Vegan, and get some consultation on that. And I think that's what's really important for us is to evoke the empathy and also the curiosity.
All right, so Latisha, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so these stories will continue after the break, and we will still talk with Latisha about plant-based lifestyle, and we'll be also cooking with Andre Hansen, who is going to make special fried rice for us, so please don't go anywhere.